Entrepreneurs, I am reconnecting with a friend I met through cold networking, and his first episode was back on February 14th, 2020. So the one and only Jeffery Combs. He has so much to catch us up on. Jeff, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you, Vincent. I appreciate it. Can you let him know a little bit about my background?
Absolutely. I have a great bio here. I'm ready to introduce our audience too. If you missed his first show, don't worry. Scroll down in the show description. You can catch it. But first, he is a renowned author, speaker, and success and addictions coach who specializes in letting go. Jeffery started his coaching corporation, Golden Mastermind Seminars, in 1998. And since then, he has coached over 17,000 clients. Yes, you heard that right. One-on-one, which adds up to 70,000 hours of one-on-one coaching. Jeff's areas of expertise include marketing, sales, free enterprise, substance abuse, codependence, dysfunctional families, low self-esteem, anxiety, anger, and debt. He has published 5 books, including 2 bestsellers. He has also delivered over 1,000 keynote speeches, being featured on Fox, ABC, CBS, Lifetime, as well as many other media publications, magazines, and radio stations. He does it all. It's great to see you again.
Thank you, Vincent. It's an honor to be here with you, and congratulations on the publishing of your book. Published author, you deeply, deeply deserve the accolades for coming back from the dead and then really being able to tell your story. So it's an honor to be here with your audience.
Oh, thank you for the kind words, and the honor is right back here. It's been a while since we caught up, so I'd rather just start out. What's the latest and greatest in Golden Mastermind Seminars? Maybe anything new you're working on as well.
Well, for me, Vincent, nothing is late and great. Everything with me is steady and consistent. I am a methodical producer, performer, and I'm able to just over a long period of time become very skilled at my specific niche, which is letting go. I'm not real flashy, but I'm real consistent. So over the lifetime of my career of 34 years of sobriety, 25 years of owning Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated, and then consistently building that business, the California S Corporation, a multi-million-dollar company. I've had the privilege of coaching 17,000 clients, 70,000 hours one-on-one. And what I really assist people do is understand why they do what they do. So nothing is like new for me. What is I continue to grow and hone my craft, my services, my value.
I love the things you highlighted there, being consistent, and you're someone who has, you said, honed in on your craft, but to a peak level, a peak performer. I was so honored to originally connect with you. I'm not sure how we originally did it, but just to be able to witness your greatness continuing to shine on Instagram, where we're friends on our social media, it's an inspiration to me as someone who tries to be consistent in everything I do, doing the little things right, continuing to do them over time. I mentioned how you have 5 books, some bestsellers. Let's talk about some of those for us.
Thank you. Well, my very first book was called More Heart Than Talent. That was one of my brands. It was a sideline brand that I built around Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. I actually trademarked that brand and then trade named it. And that was my first book. I'm a former high school athlete, college athlete. I played college basketball for 2 years. So in sports, it requires you have to have the heart, because if you don't have the talent, what wins over at times is inspiration. Motivation is the spray paint on rust. Inspiration is what wins the game. Inspiration is what keeps you in the process of going through years of not being successful, but not giving up or giving in. And so that's a term I use. That was my first book. I published it, self-published in 2002. My second was Psychologically Unemployable. That came in 2007. 2010, I produced From Procrastination to Production. Then I sold that title to Career Press, and that became a top seller. That was in 4 different countries or 4 different languages, and I still get a little residual royalty check from Career Press about once a year. That book was in every Barnes & Noble for a number of years in 4 different languages. And then 2015 was The Anger Factor. That's a book I wrote specifically on understanding the anger family. Anger, frustration, disappointment, hate, rage, and then specifically resentment. Resentment is an abiding anger that many people live in. It's an anger that's under the surface. It smolders. It's repressed feelings, suppressed feelings, and it's the sabotage factor. And then in 2019 or 2018, I published a bestseller called The Breakthrough Factor, which really breaks down the skill and the mechanism of letting go.
And those are all areas that you become an expert in, you embody in your coaching, and you do such great work. I had to ask you that question so you can shed some light on it. It's great to see all your success again, Jeffrey. Is there plans for book 6?
Not right at present. What the plan is I'm 66 years old. My plans are to continue to do what I do, which is coach one-on-one. I don't overwhelm myself. I don't take on projects that I can't finish. And I don't have shiny object syndrome. I've published 5 books. And if I ride off into the sunset with 5 books, I'm completely at peace with that.
I think it's an incredible accomplishment having 2 bestsellers. I want to circle back to consistency, Jeffrey. To anyone out here in our audience today who may be struggling with just that, becoming consistent, what is a piece of advice you can offer them to maybe get on track with that?
Well, consistency is going to show up in your emotional state. If you're not consistent emotionally, you'll be inconsistent in the overpromise and overdeliver and over-obligate situations that most of the world does. People aren't consistent because they live in a state of fight or flight. It means they're overwhelmed emotionally. And to be consistent is a skill. It's a be and stay. It's not only be consistent, but it's stay consistent. So when someone's going to quit drinking, so it's going to be a consistent behavior. It's not just, I'm going to quit today and might quit tomorrow and I'll think about it around the holidays. It's so consistency is a commitment. Now, if you're commitment phobic, which most of the world is, consistency is going to be inconsistency, meaning not consistent. And that's what most people are because they wing it. They don't have a method. They don't have a system. They don't have a routine. And when they do a video that's like, hey everyone, and they just wing it rather than having a system to do that video, a system to consistently post that video, a system to live in a routine. So most people, when it comes to consistency, they rebel against it and they wing it. And by winging it, it gives them that shiny object. It gives them that cardio cocktail, that adrenaline cortisol hit that they get, that instant gratification from pulling it off at the last minute.
I love how you're highlighting systems.
Not really understanding how that inconsistency affects relationships. I had a woman who booked a call with me and she let me know that she'd be available at 4:00 today. Well, at 3:30, she sends me a message and it's the usual, oh my God, I have no idea. I'm running late on my lunch. Now, this is also a woman, if you call her back, her voicemail is filled. I've called her twice and her voicemail is filled, which that tells the whole story about this situation. So there's a woman who booked a call, overcommitted, over-obligated, and then at the last minute canceled and wants me to reschedule it. Well, I'm not going to be rescheduling that because I don't have that kind of time with people who are inconsistent. And I'm looking for people who are consistent, people who are committed, people who are seeking change, not people who are interested.
Valuing your time and valuing your own.
When you are clear, like I'm clear, like I live in clarity. So if you're watching this content, when you're clear, that's consciousness. Consciousness is I understand, I'm aware, I know who I am, I know what I'm capable of. This is why I don't have plans to write another book, because the 5 I have, there's no point in writing another one right now when the 5 I have are sitting on shelves. I don't do things to do a thing. I set out to accomplish a task and I finish it. Because in consistency, I'm a finisher, I'm a closer. So that's the communication between my brain and my gut. So now most people are disconnected from their vagus nerve, which is the nerve that's connected to your gut, which hence the gut feeling. That's where intuition, extrasensory perception, consciousness, awareness, and understanding is. And that's where most people are cut off from that because they live in an overwhelmed state of consciousness in anxiety, fear, and doubt.
You inspire me so much when we speak, Jeffrey. And I think, like I said before, valuing not only your time, but valuing their own time. If they're not going to value their own time, why would you give them that second chance when you're so committed to helping others? You're so committed to getting people on the right track. Just amazing here. And before we find out how to get in touch,
let me interject. People deserve a second chance, but you can tell a lot about people by their predictability. Now,
yes.
Once again, if someone, but just the fact that the context, the fact the woman booked the appointment and then canceled the last minute, it means she doesn't respect my time because her lunch ran over. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, your lunch ran over. I mean, that means that in her own inconsistency, she doesn't value other people's times, not really understanding that that's how you sabotage relationships.
I'm with you. Everyone, I believe, does deserve a second chance, but that's exactly the point I was trying to make. Just valuing the time, and it may be a repeated pattern for her running late. I feel like if it happens once, maybe it doesn't think of the commitment as highly as she should, but who knows? I want to circle back with one more thing before we learn where to get in touch with Jeffrey, how to book one-on-ones, all things Jeffery Combs. You mentioned consistency a lot. What is one other skill that you can attribute to your success?
Letting go. It's the most important skill that I continue to learn, because letting go isn't, it's not learned in past tense. It's a continual state of learning. Letting go is like Tai Chi. It's like you never really master that martial art. You continue to stay in the mastery of that martial art, because that's the art of form. That's the art of movement. So that's a slow motion form of self-defense. It's a slow motion form of all martial arts. I mean, so that's what letting go is. Letting go is a skill. And in context, letting go is the separation between a feeling and an event. So if you were traumatized as a child, sexually abused, you grew up in a household where the parents are coming and going, if you have multiple parents, if you have people moving in and out, if you live in unpredictability, you're living in fight or flight. So that fight or flight you live in, the body keeps score. And so the body will recreate a situation over and over to fulfill a familiar feeling. This is why people are inconsistent, because they grew up in inconsistent households. They had inconsistent parents, and they lived in this inconsistent, overwhelmed state of unpredictability. So if you commit to letting go, that letting go is being able to interrupt a feeling in mid-moment, accept the feeling that you're feeling. So if you feel angry, you don't suppress that feeling, you accept it. You accept that feeling, and then you breathe, release, and let it go. Because you're virtually changing the neurochemistry between the brain and the body when you're able to do that, because you're interrupting a feeling in mid-moment. You're virtually changing your whole history by letting go. But if you don't learn to let go, you stay in the history of how the body kept score through the trauma bonds that you experienced. Now, a trauma bond, a panic pattern, creates brain fog. And so this is why people are overwhelmed and inconsistent, because what the hippocampus, which is the back of the brain, that's your memory. So the prefrontal cortex, that's the front of the brain, that's discernment. That means that's where you decide and commit. And then the amygdala enlarges while these other two components of the brain shrink. That's what creates brain fog. That's what a trauma bond is. So in trauma, what we tend to do is we tend to recreate the same situation over and over. We attract narcissists, people who are passive aggressive, people who believe what we believe, people who are non-committed like we're non-committed, and we keep attracting the same situation to fulfill the same set of feelings. So that's why letting go is such a skill, because once you start to let go, you can let go of the feeling that leads to alcohol. You let go of the feelings that lead to anorexia. You let go of the feelings that keep you bulimic. You let go of the feelings that keep you chronically debting, because the ego, the lower self, always wants a little more. It says, feed me, starve me, give me more, shiny object, any multitude. Just give me that instant gratification that an addict requires. And that's why people are inconsistent. They pull things off at the last minute because they crave that high they get from pulling it off.
You truly inspire me, as I said before, Jeffrey. I follow his posts. I'm going to ask him in a second how to follow him, how to find his website, book all these calls. But his authentic self, his passion behind his craft is, I believe, another factor that makes him so successful. I feel very lucky and blessed to have crossed paths with you 3 years ago. Can you please tell everybody where they can get in touch with you if they want to book a call with you, if they want to use your services, if they want to check out your social media, all things Jeffery?
Thank you very much. So I'm easy to find on all social media sites, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Jeffery, Jeffery Combs. And then you can also find me. My website is goldenmastermind.com. Golden Mastermind. It's just like this. The golden rule. There's the golden rule, the golden ruler. That actually comes
Love
from
that.
Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. Hill used to own a company called Golden Rule Industries of America. So the golden rule. So you can find me at Golden Mastermind, which Mastermind Alliance, goldenmastermind.com. It's right there on my website. You can book a free 20-minute call with me. I don't have a calendar because I coach 12 to 14 hours a day back to back. So just just fill out the form and I'll respond to you within 24 hours. The form is also available on my Instagram and Facebook page.
I've gotten a ton of value out of this, and I already know Jeffery, so I know everyone viewing and listening on did the same. Be sure to head to his website, his social media. Check him out. He has a lot to offer, and I am at Vincent A. Lancey on all social media and YouTube, and the show is at That Entrepreneur Show on all platforms besides Instagram, where I have condensed to just Vincent A. Lancey. I had a great time here traveling from Tampa all the way to Stockton to catch up with Jeffery, and a special shout out and thank you to Henry for putting this together, his assistant. And until next episode, we are signing off here. Thank you again for stopping by.